last night. And people have those moments where they go to the cemetery and they go to the graveside and they have this great awakening and they speak, their life is revitalized. And I'm like, oh, that's so cliche. That's so nothing, that's just in my mind doesn't work for me. And as much as I like to debate and argue, and y'all never really hear me say I'm wrong, boy, was I wrong. What up? It's Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. I am Tavares Ferguson, joined my co-host Razi and Red Bottom Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your minds.
Wow, that's what wow.
Buff Rich.
Yeah, my coworker's been like screenshotting that picture. Hey man, what are these? And I would lie and be like, well, those just some Converse, man. I stepped in some red paint. So he been cussing me out about that. No Converse. What an introduction there, Ferg. I don't know what to say. You called me out. It was a sneaker ball.
Yeah. Razi, did you have on sneakers?
I did. I had on regular Jordans, just regular Jordans.
He had on Jordans that hadn't came out yet. So let's put that out there. I mean, since we being honest.
Acceptable. And I had on some regular J's. So, yeah. Red Bottom Buff. And this shit ain't out yet, Razi.
All right. Oh, man. What a good time, man.
Yeah, shout out to Inspire You. What was it? Hayes Productions. Everybody who put that on, man. It was a really, really fun event. Very different from your normal Mardi Gras balls, and I liked it. I mean, it's not steeped in tradition, which I think is a good thing, right? Yeah. It's not one of those things that, we've been doing this for 50 years, 100 years. This crew has been around forever, and they do the same thing, Grand Marshal Ball. But, but no, man, I mean, it's something different. It's fun. I mean, the red carpet with the interviews, it was just something very different about it. Whereas some of the other balls, it's just kind of a, hey, you go, you have fun, you enjoy it. I'm not knocking any of the other ones.
Oh, you definitely knocked it.
I mean, a little bit. But anybody who's thinking about going to a ball next year or whatever, if you want something new, if you want something different, if you don't want, your producer all in the videos, all on the tracks, then, come on over to the sneaker ball. We got you.
Yeah. Anything else that you got, Buff?
Yeah, actually, because I know I'm going to actually talk about the sneaker ball some more at the end of the show as well. But I did want to it's not a shout out, but it's just kind of like Chris Brown has a new song with Chloe Bailey. And the comments was lighting his up about, what he did to Rihanna and stuff. And he kind of clapped back. I don't think I've seen him clap back like this before, but he just called people out and was like, y'all tuning in to Blueface and that girl that love to fight all the time. I think it's Krishan Rock or something like that. He's like, y'all tune in to them for entertainment every day, but still holding something I did at 17 years old, like I think 17 years ago or whenever it was against me. I made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying he's right, but I will say this. I know I saw Mel Gibson at the Oscars not long ago, the same dude that left a voicemail to his ex-wife saying, I hope a pack of wild niggas rape you. I mean, I know Dr. Dre, who beat the hell out of Michelle A. and T. Barnes, performed at the Super Bowl at halftime last year. I know we celebrate James Brown, who straddled his wife and UFC pounded her in front of his child. I know Lawrence Fishburne beat his first wife, I believe. We celebrate him. So I ain't saying Chris Brown right, but he got a point.
Yeah. So and even Rihanna came out and was like, look, it was an abusive relationship on both ends. Like, yeah, she was like, it's not he just hauled off and hit her in the car. Like, she was hitting on him already too. He just ended up retaliating. Again, not to say that it's right, but at the same time, it's like, everybody keep your hands to yourself. And maybe it doesn't get to that, right? So that's a little bit of it too. I mean, and people were on Rihanna about, why is she still hanging with him? Like, they're cool. There was talks of them getting back together at one point. Exactly. And it's kind of that same thing. It's like, look, y'all took the snapshot and was like, oh, he's an abuser, when Rihanna was like, nah, it was just us being little kids and not knowing how to express our feelings and stuff. So you also have that.
That's the only time we take that stuff seriously. Like, we have the photo of Rihanna. I remember when Ray Rice had his thing, we had the video of him doing that to his wife. But if there's no video or evidence, we kind of like, we say domestic violence is bad, but we have to like see it in front of our faces for us to even like be moved by it at all.
Yep.
And moving is only, we're going to talk about it on the podcast or post some Facebook posts. That's about as far as it goes.
Exactly.
And just for one, let's say this, abuse is never acceptable. Violence isn't acceptable. And you hit it that they were both abusing each other, and we're not going to even go down that road where it's okay for a woman to hit a guy because how he's 6 something and she's this small, and how hard can she really hit him? We're not going to go down that. We're not going to bring that up at all. What we're going to do is just say this is 2009, people, and I'm not saying there's a time limit on abuse, but he's done so much, so many things have happened since then that they've moved on. And if you say I don't rock with Chris Brown because he beat Rihanna, that is absolutely fine. That is 100% fine. But to bring it up, you might have went to a Chris Brown concert, but because he did something to Chloe, and like, we pick and choose when we get upset, and that's what's so just disturbing. But I'm gonna take a step back and go back to the sneaker ball and hit on what you were saying, Razi. I have no complaints. I think it's extremely innovative. I think that's the word we should use for the sneaker ball, because every year they kind of change the theme. They're tweaking it just a little bit, and I just see it getting better and better. And I'm looking for they're gonna outgrow that venue if they haven't already. They sold out weeks, months before the ball dropped. I won't lie, it exceeded my expectations to be something so new. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, as far as like I had no expectations, but I was pleasantly surprised from the decor, the way they had it laid out, the table set up, the dress code. Because we went to something very recently with the all class, and because there's no dress code, there's no way to really, and I'm not saying the dress code dictates who or the type of people come in, but because they were so strict with the dress code, it made people comply. And so when you come in a mindset where you have to follow these rules, then you change your mentality. And that's the way I see it. I saw them stop men and women who did not meet the dress code, and they put it on there. I saw guys come in tuxes or whatever the case may be, or suits, looking really nice, but they didn't have a tie on. And it was, sir, you got to wear a tie. They turned some lady around because her outfit was kind of revealing and had halter top, like it wasn't the type vibe they wanted. And they stuck to it because, I've been a lot of places where you throw the right of money at somebody at the door, then they gonna let you do it. Or because, oh, that's my boy Razi, I'm gonna let him do it. Every man in there had a tie, bow tie, or turtleneck on. End of discussion. That was it. So, and the ladies were dressed really nicely. And the food,
oh, them wings, baby.
Them wings, dude. I'm not even gonna lie. Tank, shout out. I've had a lot of good food. I would say those are the best smoked wings I've ever had.
Yeah,
I feel like, because I'm sitting up, I took a bite out of it. You know how you take a bite out of something, you look at it, and then I did it. that's cayenne. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. Is the rub? Is it the sauce? Is it the smoke flavor? It was all of it. So I was thoroughly impressed. And all the people I saw, it was great seeing you guys. Sharika, Ambrosia, Kristen. We saw so many people, so many of our listeners. April, thank you guys for coming up to speak to us as we requested. Shout out to Bruce and Alexis that joined us. Allison with her big head showed up at the last minute. So I had a blast, man. I no complaints. So it took me out. I ain't even make it to the end.
Yeah.
I don't think I did.
It was fun.
Shout out to the brother that had on the Pimp C White Mike from the International Players Anthem video. You talking about my red bottles. That's what stole the show.
But you know what's so crazy, bro? He was standing up at the back by the bar. He didn't have a table.
Oh, no.
I just knew he had VIP.
You can't wear the White Mike and no table, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
All right, fellas. Let's go ahead and do we have anything else?
Yeah. I got a bunch because we didn't record last week, and I just wanted to get this out to the listeners. LeBron is the all-time scoring leader now, so
True.
Shout out to LeBron James on that. People are like, "Oh, that makes him the GOAT." I mean, no, but okay, if you say so. But there's an argument there, right? That's one more notch in his belt to be able to have the argument. So shout out to LeBron for that. Billboard brought out their top 50 rappers of all time list. Trash, super trash. But it was something to be said. Those lists are always subjective. And I mean, critics are critics, but yeah, that list was pretty much trash. Louis V, they named Pharrell as their new creative director, which is different than a lot of times you see, even with Ye or whatever, where they're like just leaning into the person or the artist's name and trying to kind of, they're collaborating. And so, you have a creative director that's actually creating everything and that person's just kind of putting their tweak on it. Pharrell is actually going to be Louis V's creative director. So he's going to be the one that's saying what they drop and everything like that. So I think I'm really, really interested to see what happens with their style and their brand based on that. I mean, Pharrell's really eclectic, but he does have a high end taste. So I think it'll work for him. So we'll just see about that. Oh, guess I'm on that, Ferg? No. And finally, just a rundown, right? We got You is back. Snowfall is back. Woo Wednesday, Wu-Tang is back. Snowfall it's the series finale. Bel Air is back. So it is a good time to be somebody that likes to watch TV because right now it is some bangers out there on television. So check any of those out, man. All of them are great. Woo is like really close to my heart. I love that show. And it came out swinging with the first 3 episodes. They dropped the first 3 episodes immediately. And all 3 episodes, the 3rd episode is all about ODB. So it is a trip in itself. It's like you're on acid the whole time, but it is super awesome. So go check that episode out. If nothing else, you would not regret it. So that's all I got, man.
Oh, you also went to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
You kind of wanted to tell us how great one of the characters was.
Jonathan Majors, man, he is a beast, man. I mean, what he did with that character, you could see the manipulation that he has. He's playing in his mind, how he's soft-spoken, but at the times he can be like super scary, almost like we talk about abusers, right? Like how abusers will be like, oh, I'm super sweet, and then they like flip on you, and that's what he did. So really, really good movie. I hear all the critics talk about, the CGI. I mean, it's supposed to be in a foreign, universe type thing, and so it has that feel to it. I really don't care if the CGI wasn't all that great. The kids really enjoyed it. Even MODOK is in it. He's a quirky character. Well, they have it on. It's on the internet. Everybody's talking about MODOK in it. Like,
I've avoided those things.
You
were doing good too. You were doing good. I'm like, I'm not gonna stop him. He's doing good. He kind of gave us a hint on Jonathan Majors. Oh, he's about to spoil Wu-Tang. Nope. He just kind of said a trip. Okay, I'm gonna let it roll. Okay, that's cool.
MODOK being in it, that's not new. That's not news. I mean, everybody knows he's in it. But
Did you know what MODOK was in it, Buff?
No.
Okay.
do you even know who MODOK is?
I don't.
Oh, okay. He's the character with the real big head and the little arms that sits in the chair. You still don't know? Okay.
Think of like Krang from no.
Oh yeah.
From Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, kind of like that. But yeah, but he's a gag character anyway, and they used him like that, and so I thought it was a really good use of it. And it was a fun ride, man. The kids enjoyed it. I think a lot of times what's happening is these folks in their 40s, 50s that love comics are looking at these comic book movies like, oh, well, it's not sophisticated enough. Rah, 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 rah. I'm like, it's not for you. It's for, truly, it's for everybody. But that's why they're PG-13. Like, they want the kids to go out because those are the kids that are going to go out, buy the merch and all of that stuff and get the toys and all of that. Like, they got to put a little bit in there for them, too. And so I think it's a really good movie, man. I enjoyed it. It sets up Phase 5 brilliantly. Like, it's going to be a really good ride for Phase 5 based on just Jonathan Majors. And Creed 3 is dropping this weekend. So go out, check that out. Support Jonathan Majors and that, Michael B. Jordan. It looks awesome as well. So, you know, it's just a good time to be kind of a movie buff. So that's all I got, man. For real. I'm done now.
All right. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Is Sophia around?
She is. Hold on one second. Let me grab her.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
Lowe's knows that free is just better. That's why MyLowe's Rewards is free to join. As a member, you earn points towards MyLowe's money on eligible purchases, get exclusive free gifts, and earn free shipping at Silver Key status, all on top of weekly member-only deals. Don't wait. Join MyLowe's Rewards for free today and start saving more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey
How
there.
goes it? I haven't seen you in forever.
It goes good.
I feel like I haven't seen you like in forever.
Didn't I see you like last weekend?
There you go.
You're breaking up old stuff. I miss you.
I miss you too.
Yeah. Air hug.
Ear hug.
No air hug with daddy.
Here. You get a head hug.
Yeah. Did you have fun with Sky? and
Yeah.
TJ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We played What's the Time, Mrs. Fox. It's a lot of fun.
How do you play that?
So the person is like, there's like one person in the front, and there's like however many people you want at the back, and they say, "What's the time, Mrs. Fox?" You have to yell out a number, and I think it's cheating whenever like you yell out like 10, like they're right up on you, and you have to like, you're supposed to tag them. They have to run away when you say dinner time. Sky and TJ said lunchtime.
We didn't play that as kids.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm
I didn't see a
talking about
diagram.
what's the
I
time.
need
Sound like too much
instructions.
thinking though.
No, there is no diagram.
So it's like red light, green light, but with numbers. Is that what it is? So when the person
Okay.
yells out a number, you can take that many steps?
Yeah, that's how many steps you take. And then if they say what's the time and then they say dinner time, then they chase you. And
Oh,
you have
okay.
to run away.
Oh,
And if you
okay.
get tagged, then you are the one that says 7, 6,
You're the
10.
fox.
Then then you're
Why
the
don't y'all
fox.
just play freeze tag or something?
I know.
Yeah.
Break the line. Y'all remember that? Where you had to like hold, like you had the two lines and everybody had to hold hands and then you like run and try to
Talking
make
about
them
Red
break.
Rover?
Is
What?
that Red Rover?
Yeah.
What?
Y'all don't do that?
No.
Oh. Anyway,
Never heard
let's
of it.
come on. Let's
Okay, oh yeah, joke. I forgot. You think gas prices are expensive? Have you seen chimneys? They're through the roof.
If you could see her face, the way they're through the roof.
They're
I
really
applaud
good.
that one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I like that one.
I forgot to get a joke, so that was like the first thing he had in his phone.
Yeah.
Put that on me.
Yeah, it was good. It was your delivery. The joke itself was subpar, but your delivery,
Through the roof.
Through the roof. Like the braid jumped and everything. I felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'll see you next week.
All right, we'll see you next week. It's always fun with Sophie because she's a mainstay on Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast where you hear the questions, we hear the questions. So with that being said, who's up first?
I think it's B or Razi.
It's on you. I don't even have a joke. Joke. I don't even have a question.
You don't have
a joke. I wanted to hit you guys with this because I think it was last year when I spoke about our governor election. One of the reasons that he won the race, in my opinion, was that he focused on the fact that many parents in Virginia wanted to have more of a say-so on the education of their kids in school. I'm not sure that's a good idea. We've seen how, these Fox News watching parents have tried to erode something that doesn't even really exist with CRT. Like nobody's teaching CRT in third grade. Okay, it's a college level course. But nonetheless, it's turned into getting rid of a lot of Black history in school. So my question is, should parents have a say in education and what's taught to our kids? Like, not just focusing on the getting rid of Black history, but just in general, overall. I remember a lot of parents had a problem with Common Core math when that first became a thing. So should parents, dictate what our kids learn in school, or should we leave that to the our school boards, administrations, and all those people that handle that stuff?
You want to jump in, or you want me to get this one?
You can go first.
All righty. The answers are sounding no. Because parents, we're stupid. And I say that with all love in my heart. Because we're creatures of habit. We want things to happen the way they happen for us. We want our kids to use flashcards. We want our kids to memorize things. We want them to use an abacus. We want all the things that we remember so dear and that made us great at math or great at reading and all this stuff. We want that same thing, and we don't progress. I think we need to have some say in maybe the skill building things. They've taken out things like home ec and stuff like that, where kids need to learn social skills and how to navigate the real world. But the world is evolving. I sit here and I'm very, very deep into Sky's education, and even something like her spelling words. When we go over her spelling words and the way they break down and how they present why these are her 10 spelling words for the week and how they explain the thought process of this. And I'm like, I'm 42 years old and I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Sky went to a Montessori school, and the way they taught certain things, the application, the applied thinking, those are things we weren't taught. We do need to be involved in making sure the schools are meeting standards, because I hate teaching to the test. That's something that's kind of destroying our education system, where so many schools are just making sure these kids can pass these standardized tests so they can keep their funding. That's from what I understand. If we got any educators out there, they can elaborate a little more, but we don't know what the hell we're talking about. The problem is not that parents should have more of a say, is we should have more of a say of who we're letting lead the education system and take that more seriously, because I've never really heard anybody have a really big debate on who's going to be over the school board. Those are things that, we have say in. And we're worried about the president and the governor and all those things. But if you care about your kids, how involved are we? And I'll be responsible. I'm not probably as involved as I could be or I should be in those things, but pay attention to education. I'm not saying you be distant from it. You still understand what your kids are learning. And if you have a problem with it, you go talk to the teacher and try to maybe get understanding for yourself of why it's going this way. Because sometimes we'd like to be challenged. When you're dealing with third grade math and you're struggling trying to understand why you know the answer, but how they did it this way, and you're more upset because you don't understand it than the fact that they're teaching your kid this way.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, Ferg, you're married to an educator, right? And so I know you see the time that Z has to put in her lesson plans and everything like that, and the extra work that goes into it, and the thought that she puts into what she's teaching them, how she's teaching them, and everything like that. Me sitting on the school board, I see kind of what you talked about with teaching to the test and all of that. Like, sometimes you got to do it, right? Like, you just got to meet the standards, and that's what you got to do. Not necessarily teach to the test, but at the same time, you got to make sure you're covering and the kids understand what's going to be on the test, right? So there's a little bit of balancing act with that. I initially was like, no, parents shouldn't. But then I think about Texas trying to replace the word slavery with workers, right? I think about Florida trying to say no to African-American studies or AP African-American studies. I think about the Daughters of the Confederacy and how they're the ones that replaced, the Civil War being about slavery versus it being about states' rights, right? Like, they couldn't mention slavery in the reason why we fought the Civil War. And you couldn't say that, you couldn't call the Confederates traitors, and you couldn't call them terrorists and everything. Like, that's why the South is still, to this day, very difficult for us to actually explain the Civil War and everything like that because of them. So if it wasn't for other parents really jumping in and saying, yo, y'all need to fix this, then we wouldn't have fixed it, right? So I definitely think we need parents to, go ahead, Ferg. Go.
The problem with your argument is the parents are the reason we had to fix it the first time, because the Daughters of the Confederates, these are the people who are complaining about the shit that made us change it. There was a curriculum already, right? Here is slavery. This is what it's about. You're hurting my feelings. Now my son feels guilty. And now it's, you know what? I don't want my third grade son to feel guilty about slavery, so let's not teach it. The parents are the ones who are creating the problems. And
right. But if it wasn't parents that said, what are y'all doing? Right. Why are y'all teaching it that way? It wouldn't have never changed. So, no. That's what I mean by, like, I initially was like, no, but then I thought about, like, we have to know, or at least understand what's being taught so that we can hold those schools accountable when there is something that's so far out there, right, that it's going to disenfranchise, or like, what do you mean you're not going to say slavery in your books, Texas? Like, some parent had to bring that up because the system was going to let that ride.
But the system, it became a problem in the system because a parent complained about slavery. It's the parents that are involved. They're saying, I don't want you to talk about slavery. That creates the problem to say we can't talk about slavery. And then Buff, Razi, and Ferg have to come behind Karen and say, yes, they need to, rather than this is a verified, certified research curriculum. Education is politics. That's what's sad about it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, if it's not the parents that's changing it, it's them electing someone like DeSantis
who's going to change
campaigns on changing
because they want that. So it's the fact that that's what I'm saying. We have to get involved at the right levels to make sure that the things are equitable, because you're going to upset somebody. And sometimes history is upsetting. Razi, you brought up Wu-Tang, the American Saga. So I was listening to Sirius. I forgot which show it was. It might have been Sway in the morning. And RZA was on there. And they were interviewing him. And they asked him about this kind of stuff. And he had mixed views. He had mixed views. And so this is a topic that people are talking about And a lot of times people are just opinionated. We don't have enough facts the same way every other political theater. This is political theater. It's no different. There's no study that shows changing it to slavery is going to improve race from slavery to workers or indentured servants or what else are they? Interns is going to improve race relations or make people feel. It's just a bunch of pissed off parents who don't want to hear this. And it's sad. And so you're just like politics, you're catering to people who don't have the facts. And we need some people who are educated and have the facts to start making more decisions and then block out some of that dumb that the parents are saying.
But when when you look at representation in those roles that can make those decisions, we don't have enough power and enough say, especially minorities, right? And that's why I'm leaning towards yes, because the minority parents have to have a say at this juncture because they don't have the power structure to be able to say, no, you're not going to change that, right? So that's why I'm so adamant about they need to have a say. I don't think they need final choice. I don't think that they need to be able to like just say this is curriculum you're going to use, but I just do think input. They need some input. Yeah, they gotta have a way to go to the school board meeting and talk to the superintendent and be like, yo, that's BS. You're gonna put slavery back in your curriculum, yada yada yada. The parents need to be involved like that, and they need that input.
But if Karen never had the ability to have her input, then there wouldn't be a problem, or the problems wouldn't be as great. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? I
get that, but we can't go back and change the past. We talking about.
We just did.
I assume Buff is saying as of now, like going forward, should they be involved, right?
Yeah.
If we could have gone all the way
they
back,
gotta be.
But I don't think if we could have gone all the way back, the issue still would have been. Because a lot of people that were making the selection on those curriculum were still really racist. So it's not like they were going to really kind of, play up Black excellence in their books in the 1800s, right? Even post-slavery. It just wasn't going to happen. And so there was still going to have to be some input from somebody to do that. Just so happens the Daughters of the Confederacy jumped on and they did it really quickly. But if we could have had a good, talented 10th block that did that exact same thing, would things have gone differently? We're just slow to the draw with it.
So I guess I'm somewhere in between both you guys' opinions because I know Ferg said a resounding no. I probably wouldn't say resounding, but it's definitely no. It's kind of like a stay in your lane type thing because, a lot of these parents, like, I've heard them say they don't have time to be, checking their kids' homework or helping them with this and that, but you got enough time to say how the entire curriculum goes. I say stay in your lane because from what I've seen, a lot of times when these parents complain about what their kids are learning in school, I'm the son of a educator. I'm the husband of, she wasn't, I guess, technically an educator, but she was a director at child care centers for a while. And from what I have heard and known, most of the time, parents care about their kid and what affects them. The school you expect to care about the masses of kids. So when this parent comes with this agenda on what should and shouldn't be taught, it's more or less because their child got their feelings hurt because of what white people did in the past to Black people, and now they feel bad. Well, your child need to toughen up. But we're not finna change this whole curriculum because your child cried about, white people being mean to Black people. Nah, that's not how that should work. And that's what parents, for the most part, they do. They're not looking out for all kids. They're looking out because their kids' feelings got hurt. So stay in your lane. I think the compromise could be, like Razi said, have some input. I don't know, maybe come up with a group where a bunch of parents elect one person to represent them in these school districts on what should and shouldn't be learned.
It's called school board elections. That is literally called school board elections.
Do they do that? They have influence on curriculum?
Most of them.
But it's going to be biased too.
Every
election's biased, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. So
it sucks that education at this point is about self-interest.
Yeah.
It's sad that now education has become more politicized than I remember.
Black history is considered woke now, right?
And now woke is a bad thing. I mean, now they're talking about being woke or anti-woke on campaign trails, right? They're talking about
racial epithet. It's epithet.
And so I don't know what the solution is. You're right. Like, there has to be change for the better. But at the same time, it's, you go to these schools where now, as a black person, I feel like, no, I know slavery happened, but now they talk about slavery the way they talk about it now in Texas, supposedly. And now, as a black person, I feel out of shape. And now you use that same argument. Well, Tavares, Sky, and TJ need to toughen up. They need to get their, thicken their skin. It's sad. I've been that black person. I remember in 3rd and 4th grade when they introduced slavery to me in a school setting. I already knew about it. I remember being the only black kid in the class and feeling like, oh, this is embarrassing. Like, this is not even embarrassing. I don't know how I felt. I felt like all eyes are on me.
I get it.
But that was real because it sucked. It sucked to be that young and having to deal with it. And that's kind of one of the things that RZA hit on. Like, I don't want my son to be young. And he showed him, what's the Nat Turner movie?
Birth of a Nation.
Yes, he said he watched Birth of a Nation with his son, and his son ended up crying. Like, cause he's just like, why would they do that? So it's like, was that too early, too soon? Do they need to be seeing these type things? Do they need to be demoralized? And potentially the backlash is now you feel less than because you knew what black people came from, slavery, yada yada yada, and then understand there's still the sense of racism in the country today that makes you potentially feel inferior. Are you already setting your kids up for failure? That's a different way to look at it, but it's still like, history's history.
So are you good with parents just having input but not completely influencing?
Yeah, I mean, they need to. I will always advocate for my kids.
Yeah.
Even if you tell me, even if you don't want to hear my damn opinion, I'm going to tell you how I feel about my kids. And I understand every parent doing that. But at a certain point, people have to get out of their feelings about trying to cover up the past and realize that to move forward, we have to acknowledge this stuff. We have to continue to move forward. I don't know.
Everything's politicized now, man. Everything. We can't get away from it now.
That's the reason education, I mean, it's too political now.
Yeah.
And maybe because we were too young or our kids were too young, we weren't involved as much, but maybe it's always been this political. Probably. Because it's the same like the parents and not wanting their kids to go to school with black kids, boycotting and standing from the school and throwing, it's always been political. I guess it's just we were blind to think, everybody knows about slavery. They're never going to stop. Oh, it's not slavery anymore? We don't use that word? Like, slavery's like the N-word now in school.
I will say this, if you care about this type of stuff, especially like in my state, Razi mentioned Texas, Florida. If you care about this stuff and you see one candidate campaigning a certain way on what they will and won't do about education, that's definitely one of your chances to fight and have your voice heard. So pay attention, man, because DeSantis was not quiet about that. He definitely campaigned on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got, man.
He scares me. He scares me, man.
He's a more competent 45.
Yep.
I'm working on not saying that dude name no more. He's a more competent 45.
Hey, Fidelity. What's it cost to invest with the Fidelity app?
Start with as little as $1 with no account fees or trade commissions on U.S. stocks and ETFs.
That's music to my ears.
I can only talk.
Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Zero account fees apply to retail brokerage accounts only. Sell order assessment fee not included. A limited number of ETFs are subject to a transaction-based service fee of $100. See full list at fidelity.com/commissions. Fidelity Brokerage Services LLC, member NYSE SIPC.
You know what's smart? Enjoying a fresh gourmet meal at home that you didn't have to cook. Meet Factor, your loophole in the laws of mealtime. Chef-crafted meals delivered with a tap, ready in just 2 minutes. You know what's even smarter? Treating yourself without cheating your goals. Factor is dietitian approved, chef prepared, and you plated. Pretty smart, huh? Refresh your routine and eat smart with Factor. Learn more at factormeals.com.
Razi, what you got for us?
So we talked a little bit about domestic violence and Chris Brown and everything else, and I was reading a post from just one of my friends or whatever, and after the Super Bowl, do you guys remember the Tubi commercial where they
Yes.
made it seem like somebody had changed the channel or whatever?
Everybody looked at their remote.
Right. So it's a long post, but basically the gist of it is, old girl broke up with her boyfriend after that, because when it happened and it came on, dude blew up and started accusing her and just really kind of going in on her, you changed it, what the F, yada, yada, yada. And she broke up with him. And then he came back the next day and he was like, I apologize. It's not that big of a deal. And her own parents were like, it's not a big deal. He was heated because of the everything and because of the Super Bowl and all of that. And so they kind of tried to talk her into staying with the dude. And so the post, a lot of conversations about it and everything. And I want to kind of get you guys' opinions on that and what you would have told your daughter had that happened, right? Like, dude blows up, but didn't hit her or anything like that, but, just kind of went off on her at that moment. Like, would you kind of encourage her to stay with the dude or not? They had been together for a year. They were living together. Like, it was a serious relationship, but she packed up and left right after that.
So this reminds me, while I was in Mobile, actually, I fell into this, I always fall into these YouTube wormholes, and I somehow fell into the DC Sniper wormhole. And so I'm listening to this 10-part podcast from people on DC on how everything was going. And then they had one episode that was dedicated to his ex-wife. Because remember, I don't know if you guys remember, but he did all that to disguise it. So once he killed her, she would just seem like another random victim because she had took the kids. And she was just going through the history of their entire relationship. And at one part, she said almost exactly what you just said, except it's called, I'll have it for you in a second. She pretty much was talking about this instance where once she got the kids from him, Muhammad told her, "You are now an enemy of mine and I'm going to kill you." She went and told her brother what he said, and her brother said, "Oh man, he just messed with you. He ain't gonna kill you. John just playing around." And she said how much that let her down and how she said she would never come to him again because she's telling you what this man just said to her and you're brushing it off. And that right there, what you just said about the woman going to her father, I think you said?
Her parents, both of them.
Her parents. And they're like, listen, I don't know if I'm going to have the perfect answer or response if my daughter comes to me in that situation. But my hope is that I will listen. And if that worries my daughter enough to where she's coming to tell me, then my first advice is not going to be just stick with her. I'm going to listen to her. And if she thinks time away from him or leaving him altogether is what's best, cool. She comes first. I ain't worried about that nigga feelings. So to answer your question, I'm going to listen to her and whatever she thinks is best because she's in the relationship. Like, it doesn't matter how long she's been with him and how their relationship looks to us. Like, relationships can have a public persona to where whenever you see them, whenever you guys hang out, they look like they're the happiest couple in the world, but you don't know what goes on in their house and in their bedroom and in their private moments. So with that said, especially my daughter coming to me, I'm going to listen to her.
Give me 1 second. I got to watch this video.
Yeah, that commercial. I was like, I looked at Tab, then I looked to see if I was sitting on the remote.
Okay. So I want to say, I think as parents, one of the things, and I'm assume that the two of you have always told your kids they can come to you about anything. No matter what it is, come to me.
Absolutely.
And so if either of my kids, because I'm going to take the opposite approach. What if it's your son? Because we protect our daughters, right? Mm-hmm. But your son, and he's like, I left because of this. I'm going to not always take their side. I'm going to always take their consideration and best worst case scenario. If he's wrong or she's wrong and they lost a good guy or a good girl, so be it. But if they're right and they fear for their life and I didn't do anything to help or guide, or I just kind of swept it under the rug, I have failed them as a father. It's just that simple. And not only did we just tell them to leave them or do whatever you feel is comfortable, what do you need from me? Do we need to sit down and talk to Ken or whatever his name is, or John or whatever, and say, hey, what's going on? My daughter came to me and she's fearful for her life. Here are your options. You know, like, and I'm not talking about threatening like I'm big and bad. It's like, do we need to get the police involved? Do we need a restraining order? Is there therapy that needs to happen? Like, because we all know, we talked about domestic violence earlier, that leaving is not always the end, right? Leaving can be the beginning of the end. So now if my daughter or son feels the need to come to me because they feel that their life is in danger or they're in a bad situation, that's when me as a parent comes in. You've done your job. You came to me and you left or made your decision. You came to me because you need help and guidance. And now I have to step up as a parent and do that. You know, a lot of times we want to step away, and it's easy to say, you know, my daughter's 7, about to turn 8, and my son's 3. But I hope to keep that mentality even when it's the unpopular opinion. And they could be wrong. Mm-hmm. My son could be absolutely wrong that, you know, Byron was just playing. He was upset. He's a diehard Eagles fan. And he just, you know, it is what it is. But at the same time, you know, worst case scenario, I never want to be that person and have to look back and say, if I could have only done more.
Razi, do you know any specifics? Like, I know he didn't hit her, but did he give any like threatening language, or was it just a cussing out? Do you know anything?
Yeah, it was just a cussing out from my understanding.
A good cussing out.
A good cussing out. And that's why I wanted to kind of talk about it, because I'm really on the fence about it, right? That is it one of those things that their daughter, it's the unknowns, right? Is their daughter a drama queen? Is she kind of always on the, oh my God, or you know, I see, you know, he's a good dude and he's been taking care of her. They've been doing well.
Did he really cuss her out?
Did he, you know, or maybe he cussed her out, but you know, it wasn't like
maybe he just said, did you change the channel?
Right. And she's like, oh my God. But you know, like Ferg said, is it just, hey, y'all can talk through it, some counseling type thing? There's not a history of that, right? He doesn't blow up like that all the time, and it wasn't from my understanding, it wasn't she feared for her life as much as it's, hey, that's a red flag for me. If he'll get that worked up and curse me out or curse at me over a football game, do I want to stay when it is something big, right? Like, if he'll cuss me out over this, what'll happen if it's something that he really gets pissed off about, right? Yeah. I ain't gonna make a mistake and spend some extra money, overdraw the account, or, you know, make a bad financial decision, or I make a bad call with the kids. What's gonna happen then? And you know, she may have spiraled into that, and I can see kind of a little bit of that. Like, cause Haley will cut a dude off for the smallest things, right? You know, I talk about it all the time with me. It's like, Ferg, you be like, what happened to da-da-da? Now, man, like, that's how Haley is. It's like, you never know why she's cutting him off. And so maybe it was a little bit of that from the parents of like, should you really be cutting him off over this and everything? So I can see them playing devil's advocate or just kind of making sure that she's not being over the top. And maybe that's what happened is they tried to do that and she became over the top again and put it on social media and kind of explained like, my parents don't support me leaving, right? When they were just kind of trying to talk through it with her. But I think with Haley, what I would do is have that conversation like you said, Ferg, is, you know, do you really fear for your life? Why are you leaving? Is it because you feel like he'll kind of escalate? Has this happened before? That like, let's have the conversation. And then ultimately it's your decision. If you want to leave, then you leave and I got you, whatever it is.
Two things. As long as that conversation is, and it's very hard to be unbiased. It's not like not trying to get her to stay. I'm trying to make her realize she's overreacting, right? You know, because that could be the thing. Because she's a drama queen. Because she does this. Or because he does that. And he's a good dude. Because I always look at it as, this is the same interview you'll have on the news. When it's, well, he's always been a good dude and he never showed signs of this and they've been together all this time. And I know she can be, you know, kind of like, that's how these conversations sound on the interviews on the news, right? He was a good dude. We would have never expected it. Turn on any episode of Snapped or whatever those shows are. Dude's always a good dude. Her red flag is her red flag.
Yep.
Maybe she'll miss out. Maybe she's messed out on a good thing. She's learned a lesson from it. Maybe that lesson is, maybe I need to kind of calm down and not be so over dramatic. But also it's the fact that, like you said, if he'll talk to you like that over a game, you know, he probably still has some things, anger issues or something that he needs to work through, that some being with your daughter is not the best time for him to work through these anger issues. And right. I'm not saying, because I'm not perfect. I've done I've done some good cussing outs in my day, you know, and whatever it was, that person either saw more in me and decided to stay, or didn't see enough in me and like, you know, I'm over this and haul that. That's up to them because we don't know.
Yeah, it's the unknowns that really, like, I was very strident in my answer, but I do need, like, it would be good to know, like, has he ever gone off on her like this before? Like, to what extent was it, like, did she exaggerate? Like I said, did he just say, hey man, did you just turn the damn channel? Or was it like laced with MFs and you stupid MF and I should beat you? You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Like, and I also have to not apply my character to everyone else, because I don't think, maybe she could correct me, I don't think I've ever had like a rage-filled cussing out at my wife. I just think that is almost like a stepping stone to me to further, like we've had our disagreements and she'll give my ass a silent treatment and I won't talk to her. But as far as like you like just a 5-minute rant, I just, that's hard for me to imagine that that's not a red flag for something, especially over that. Especially over that. So I really would like to know more on that story though.
I really don't care the details. My thing is, I hope I raise my kids to make good decisions. And if they don't make good decisions, I'd rather them be alive to make bad decisions later on. Continue to make bad decisions, right? So like it's always worst case scenario.
You lose out on a good person, you just do bad.
Yeah, you know, you should have stayed. You should have stayed with John. Take that Super Bowl cussing. Bet you won't got. You'll cancel Tubi from now on, or whatever happens. So,
good commercial, by the way.
Yeah,
that was a good one, man.
We probably were watching it and didn't realize it was a commercial. We were still shocked by the end of the game. So. All right, my question, we've been very serious today, so I'm going to keep it serious. We talked about the sneaker ball, the success of it, but we really didn't mention Mardi Gras and the whole weekend. Did you guys enjoy the weekend?
I did, man. I did. Buff, I'm sorry, man. I thought we had you Sunday. That's why, I kind of tapped out on Saturday night. So
I'm gonna let y'all have it.
Bro,
I couldn't do it, man.
Same. I literally, because I sent that text and I know where I was going out there early. I'm thinking, okay, think about, we can wake up about 10. I got my clothes laid out. Nothing in Mobile is more than 20 minutes. We'll be there by 10:30, 10:45 at the latest. 15. Man, when I text y'all, I woke up, it's like, oh, that little quick nap did not work out. But the reason I asked, because the overall trip was right on time for me. It was much needed. And so I'm gonna use this this chance to kind of, one of the things I always want to do with the show is be truthful and be vulnerable, right? So the last couple of weeks, months, it's been rough. You think I was dealing with the death of my dad and my grandmother was weighing heavier on me than I realized. And me being who I am, I've tried to think my way through it. I think I've even talked to Razi and even maybe Buff, I realized that I was, slightly depressed, I'm intelligent enough to recognize some of the signs, but didn't realize how deep I was in the grievance and stuff like that. So by the time I got on the road Friday morning, I felt like my life was spiraling out of control, right? I was almost to the point where if we didn't have that sneaker ball and I didn't promise to be there, I wouldn't have been there that weekend. It took a lot. I was supposed to leave Thursday night and I couldn't get on the road until first thing in the morning Friday. I was just drained mentally, physically, emotionally. And I say that because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get back to being me, whatever the hell that means. And maybe being me will never be the, I'll never go back to being that person because certain things are missing. There's a void, right? And you guys, I can't think of anybody better to talk to this about, maybe hopefully you guys won't go, I'll take you down a rabbit hole and it's too deep, but that void, how do you deal with that void? Have you dealt with that void? Or those voids, both of you guys have lost a lot in the last 3 to 5 years. I mean, it's been crazy. 6 years ago, we were all sitting pretty, right? Mm-hmm. Now we're like, I don't know what the going on, and I've lost a lot, but this last loss has left a bigger void than ever. And I don't know if it's like all those voids started adding up, and then this one just kind of, there was no making filling that hole naturally. So
it's a very simplistic answer for me. I think first off, going to Mobile from now on will always be bittersweet for me because I did enjoy my trip down there. But I go down there now and I was telling somebody like, I don't have any parents to visit. That's first and foremost. And then just not being specific, but, certain family members have been having health issues that are near and dear to me on top of, other family members that are aging and let's just say dealing with memory issues. And one of them in particular was a huge part of my childhood, just a huge part of my childhood. So just dealing with not only, like you mentioned, for the loss that we've had and just trying to deal with that, but bracing yourself for possible near soon to be loss as well. And even that trip in particular, I was telling Tabitha, there's a possibility that was my last time seeing them, alive. Hopefully not, but it's a possibility. So how do you feel that void? First and foremost, it's a good question because you can't, I guess, replace that void. Once your mother is gone, once your father's gone, they're gone. But how you feel it is you really celebrate and live through those that are still here and just enjoy them as well. I don't know if you remember this, Ferg. As soon as we got to the sneaker ball, we both were at the bar, and I just said, man, I'm just so happy to see y'all. You know what I mean? Like, it just meant everything, because the sneaker ball reminded me of all class. And that gets me choked up, because that trip in particular was perfect. You know what I mean? Like, all of us came together. We did that live episode. And it just seems like after that trip, the way I've experienced it is like, it's almost like, I talked about the DC sniper earlier. It's like somebody just had our lives and what meant the most of us just lined up. You know, just Razi take someone that he loves away. Byron take someone that loves away from him. Ferg, you know, just the next 2 years was just. I think I told Razi at the sneaker bar, I was like, you know, 2020 whooped. I said then it let his little brother 2021 kick us while we were down. And then 2022 kind of like finally helped us up. Like, come on, man, go get on. Like, it still wasn't perfect, but they at least helped us up and dust our clothes off a little bit. So we've talked about Wendell, and I don't want to call it a near-death experience, but it was a very serious surgery that he had, so much so that I cried when I learned about it. And so just to see him for the first time since that surgery, I don't know. I must have told him, we told each other I love you like maybe 3 or 4 times in one visit. You know what I mean? So, and just seeing how our other homeboy, Sherman, how much it meant to him that he wasn't there. Like, he's missing us. You know what I'm saying? So to fill that void, man, we just gotta, you know, love on, appreciate, and enjoy those that are still here, because we already know how it feels when others that we love and enjoy are no longer here. And that's just my simplistic answer to that.
Great answer, bro.
Yeah, that was spot on, man. Like,
you haven't told Razi you love him lately.
Yeah.
I did at the sneaker ball.
You did. Yeah.
We usually do it on the show, so.
So no, man, I do. I love you, brothers, man. It's one of those things that, like Buff said, that is one of the things that keeps you going. When you talk about filling that void, that's what you can fill it with. You can't replace the hole. It's always going to be there. And that I think, like when you said, am I going to ever go back to what I was? You won't. There's always going to be those moments of just sadness and everything. Got perfect example this weekend. It was glow with your guy and glam with your girl. So the mother-daughter dance, the mother-son dance, and the daddy-daughter dance at the kids' school. And Haley, shout out to her. I was going to say that in my closing, but I'll go ahead and do it now. I think it's a perfect time. Shout out to her kind of stepping in and taking Ollie and doing all of that. But, you know, it's still not the same, right? And Ollie, even going up to this, he's been in his I miss mommy kick. I don't know if you guys remember, he was really big into that right after she passed, and so coming into it this week and probably for the next couple of weeks is going to be kind of the same with the I miss mommy stuff. And I'll kind of get to what I tell him when I talk to you about kind of how you get through it. But those things, just, they're always going to be those triggers there, and it's going to bring that memory up. But like Friday night, not gonna lie, like at the end of the night, I cried in the bed, like, you know, because I know that all of that is never going to be the same, right? For him, it's never going to be the same. He's always going to miss out on the mommy son, you know, hopscotch thing at Mayday or whatever with the kids, the mommy daughter or mother son dances. He's not going to be able to dance with his mom at his wedding. You know what I mean? Like, those are the thoughts that just run through your head when you're thinking about it. I was at the Glow with Your Girl, or Glam with Your Girl, so dance Saturday night with Sophie, and that's really what made me think about Ollie not being able to dance with his mom. Is they threw on the song I Loved You First. I don't know if you ever heard the country song or whatever, but dude was like, you know, hey, girls, go find your dads or whatever. You're probably going to be dancing to this song or something like it at your wedding 20 years from now, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, we were just dancing with the girls. And then I thought about it, it's like, damn, Ollie's not going to have that experience, right? He's not going to be able to do that with his mom. And so, you know, it was one of those things that I got choked up right there at the dance. So it's always going to be those moments. It's always going to be those times. But to get through that, I just looked at Sophie and I gave her a kiss on the forehead. And like Byron said, you feel it with the people that are here, right? You gotta really lean into that and enjoy them and enjoy the time and everything. Cause you know, when Ollie starts with the I miss mommy, my usual response is, I know, man, we all miss her or whatever, but we can have fun together, right? She's proud of you. Like, that's the other part about it, is just knowing that you continuing on life and you getting through it is really what they want to see, right? Like, you're making them proud by enjoying life and enjoying what, you know, they sacrificed to give you, right? They wanted that for you. And so that's really how you kind of honor their memory and keep pushing forward, is to try to enjoy what you do have instead of dwelling on what you don't have. And that's what I tell him. That's what I try to do day in, day out, is really just try to enjoy what I can. And it's hard. I mean, I'm not saying it's not work. I'm not saying that it always works. I'm not saying that, you know, you're not going to get in those funks and just be like, man, you know, I just really, really miss them and I want to have them back. But, you know, reach out, go hug on the kids. That's a lot of times what I do, is just go hug on the kids. And so they laugh at, you know, I'll walk by their door and I'll just be like, hey, Ollie, I love you. And he'd be like, I love you too. And then just keep walking down the hallway. Like, you know, it's one of those things that I gotta get that out and just be like, I love them. You know, I talked about that list of why you want to live, right? And have that in there. That's kind of what it is. It's that same thing. It's like, I got so many people that I do enjoy spending time with. I got so many people that I do love and that love me and lean into that. And that is one of the beautiful things about us in general, is that we have that. We have that huge, huge circle. Because I sometimes I'm surprised at how many people don't have a top 5. Right? They don't have 5 friends or family that they can call and be like, yeah, that's my go-tos and I love them to death. Or a 10 people. Like, they struggle with that. It was nothing for me to write that list of 10 people, right? Because I knew them off the top of my head. And for us, we have that large circle, so lean into it. You know, Ferg, with you and the bros, when you got that, you got SWAT, you got your family's big in general. So you got plenty of people that's there, that loves you, that wants to see you succeed, that's going to be there when you're feeling down, right? And so just kind of lean into that, man. But no, it's not going to be the same. It's never going to be the same. And I think that is finding that new norm and understanding that it's just going to take time to where those moments don't hit you as hard. And taking the time. I know me and you talked about that, like taking the vacation time, taking the time off. And I know you talked about like the honeymoon or whatever, but it's a little different because you had just come off of spending all that money, being all that stress of the wedding and everything like that. You probably were still thinking about, man, I'm at this honeymoon, but man, we spending a lot of money on this honeymoon. Like it's sometimes it might be just a staycation of ship the kids off, you and Z don't even leave the house and just hang out at the house, chill out, but don't do anything, right? Like don't feel like you have to get anything done. You have to be productive and anything. Just chill and be, right? And if you have to leave the city to do that, then do that. But it doesn't have to be this big, extravagant, you know, spending thousands of dollars to do it. But take that time for yourself to just decompress and not be productive. I know I was talking to Lenny this morning and he was talking a little bit about, or relaxing is being productive, because, and you got to like rewire your mind to remember that is, I'm recharging, I'm getting ready so I can be productive. I'm getting my body back straight, my mind back straight, so that I can be uber productive. Because if you always try to be productive and try to produce something, you're going to burn yourself out. And so like the rest and relaxation is just as much productive as actually creating something. So just kind of remember that too.
Man, that's bars. Both you guys had great, I'm not even just say great answers. Those were helpful, extremely helpful. I mean, sometimes it's just that simple, right? Just loving the people, loving on the people, acknowledging the memories and stuff like that. And this is new to me, even though the losses aren't new to me. I think for me, I think the first thing was acknowledging the void, not just the loss, but the void, right? I'll put it this way. So Friday, I drove down to Mobile. We got into Mobile about 11:30, dropped my family off at my mom's house. And on the way there, I made a conscious decision to go to the cemetery. And what's crazy about that is because I was like, we've watched those movies and actually watched The Amazing Spider-Man last night. And people have those moments where they go to the cemetery and they go to the graveside and they have this great awakening and they speak, their life is revitalized. And I'm like, that's so cliche. That's so nothing, that's just in my mind doesn't work for me. And as much as I like to debate and argue, and y'all never really hear me say I'm wrong, boy, was I wrong. When I say that was one of the most therapeutic moments in my life, because a couple of things you guys said. First thing I did is within the first 5 minutes after everything came flowing out, I realized I missed my dad. I never said that out loud. Like, just, I missed my dad. It wasn't the depression. It wasn't the grief. It wasn't the loss. It was just a simple fact that I missed my dad. And the fact that Ali says that all the time, everybody said, like, I've never said that. I just knew my dad was gone and I wish I could talk to him and stuff like that. But it's just like, just a simple thing of just, man, I miss my damn dad. And acknowledging what he meant to me and taking the time to do that, because we got in, I was supposed to get on the road Thursday night and all this stuff. In my mind, I'm behind schedule, but I had to stop and take the time to do that. And so that was something, and just talking and just going through it and acknowledging those emotions. And even talking to my therapist later, is just like, you can't think through it. It's not something you can solve. And you said it, things will never be the same. Mm-hmm. You can't, Byron, you said you can never get them back. It is what it is. And I knew that it is what I can't get my dad back, but it's like, love on the people here, enjoy the memories, talk about the people. But when I say that was so therapeutic, and I'm still going through it, but I'm 20 times better today than I was Friday morning when I pulled into Mobile. If you would have seen the Ferg that pulled into Mobile at the sneaker ball, y'all been like, dude, are you okay? Because I was just floating. I was just there.
I call it zombieing through the day.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of days like that, bro.
I mean, to the point it was affecting my job. Like it's been rough. And I think you have to acknowledge those things. It's hard to notice things when you're in the moment, because we talked about, I think I'm lightweight depressed. But when I start going through, because in your mind, or in my mind, when I think of certain things, I think of it being so textbook and like blatant. You're not motivated, you're not eating, you're not working out, you're not doing, and I'm like, I'm eating, but then it's like, man, you're and in my mind, not something simple as not eating is like, you make a conscious decision, well, I'm just not going to eat. I don't know why people don't eat, but I just wasn't motivated and I didn't have time and I didn't make time for it. And I just look up and like, I'm eating one meal a day. I just don't feel like eating, I just want to get to the end of the day, just dropping the ball, not having energy to do things, and I feel a lot better. And acknowledging those things, getting the help you need, letting people in. Byron, you said love on the people. Gotta let people in. Mm-hmm. Because even though I can't create more memories with those people, especially my dad, he was probably the main trigger. There's so many other people around me that love me and that I love, that I can start creating memories as well. And what I did realize was, to be affected so deeply by somebody is a great thing. because that means they impacted your life. And to honor them through that, just to know that missing that person because of the impact they had and apparently still have on your life is great. And so it made me want to think about my mortality, like, hey, there's gonna be a day you're not here. And hopefully I outlive all my kids. I mean, I outlive all my kids outlive me. God, my kids outlive me and all that stuff. And that same impact, I want them to, and it made me think why I loved him so much. It made me go through and start honoring and thinking about, as flawed as he was, the greatness, because there had to be something, because, I'm super picky anyway, for this person to mean that much to me and to affect me that greatly. So I guess the question was, how do you feel the void? And I guess the answer is simple. You can't, right? You can't feel the void. You have to learn how to live with it and work around it, acknowledge it, and,
Yeah.
So.
And, that cliche, time heals all wounds. What happens is that void gets smaller and smaller as you feel. So you can do it. It just takes a long time to fill that void. And what happens is you get more and more love from other people, right? And it shrinks it just a little bit, that the void isn't so blatant. It's not there all the time. It's not so nagging, right? It's like dealing with a chronic pain. People have chronic back pain or chronic knee pain or whatever, and they just like, I just live with it. And that's kind of how it is. When you first start feeling it, it's there all the time. You're like, God, my back hurts so bad. But when you've been dealing with it for 15 years, 20 years, it's like, yeah, my back hurts. Like, and you just keep going. It's like, that's how it is. And that's really how it is. I mean, it sounds very cliche, but as those years pass, it gets a little bit easier. I mean, I'm going on 3 years. Actually, next week, I'll be 3 years for us, and so from Jen. And so, that's the other part about it, is I'm able to move on, but it doesn't go away. It's not gonna go away. I still miss her every day in, day out. You miss her. But at the same time, you can love, you can enjoy time, you can enjoy what's going on in your life, and those moments become just that, moments of just, I really, really miss her, right? Like you're always gonna miss her. There's not a time you're not gonna miss them in general, but there's gonna be those waves of just really, really missing them. But they come fewer and fewer until you get to days like next week. The 3rd's gonna come, and it's gonna be a hard day. We already know it, right? I don't make a big deal of it with the kids, because I don't think they associate the day, and I'm glad about that. They don't associate that date with the day she passed. But I do, and I know, and so that day's always kind of hard for me. But I'm not gonna lie, I stay busy that day so that I don't dwell in it, right? Like you feel it. It's like people are like, why don't you take the day off? Because then I'm just gonna sit at the house and dwell in it. Like, no, I'm gonna go to work, and I'm gonna probably pack my calendar out so that I don't, so that I don't think about it and everything. Yeah. So that's just kind of a way too. It is a sense of avoidance, but at the same time, that's what you got to do to cope with it and get through it. Then that's what you do. So do whatever works for you to get through that day.
And I think that's the understanding triggers too, because I think we're coming over that 1 year anniversary of just like things spiraling. 2022, the 3rd, as well as my grandmother passed. That Monday, following Monday, my dad had a heart attack. A week later, he passed. So in 11 days, I lost my grandmother and my dad. Two of the most consistent things I've had in my life. So.
This episode is brought to you by Nerds Gummy Clusters, the sweet treat that always elevates the vibe. With a sweet gummy surrounded with tangy, crunchy nerds, every bite of Nerds Gummy Clusters brings you a whole new world of flavor. Whether it's game night, on the way to a concert, or kicking back with your crew, unleash your senses with Nerds Gummy Clusters.
Every cup of Nespresso coffee is an invitation to transform your morning routine into a ritual you can treasure each and every day. Using the Virtuo Pup, a simple touch of the button freshly brews bold aromas and a rich, velvety crema layer for delicious cafe-quality coffee at home. Whether you enjoy your coffee hot or over ice, every sip, every morning is unforgettable. Nothing tastes like Nespresso coffee. Visit Nespresso.com or our app to explore our full range of easy-to-use machines and coffees not found anywhere else.
Let's go ahead and wrap it up, fellas. Unless anybody had anything else to say, Byron.
Nah, we can wrap it up. I do want to say, in Ferg's question, if you have like voicemail messages and things like that of people that passed away, everyone's different, but for me, keep them because I wound up deleting some messages from my dad. And I learned my lesson. So when my mom passed, I kept them. So like on my birthday, I play the one that she left me. And it's like a couple more that she left me that I just play from time to time. So don't make the mistake I did with my dad. Like hold on to that stuff.
Because I'm one of those people, I delete my voicemails all the damn time.
Yeah, man. So hold on to that.
So
I said I would touch on the sneaker ball again. I just wanted to say sneaker ball heavy show, by the way. But I just want to send a shout out again. You know, this was the second one. Ferg mentioned how it's still new and he still was, it exceeded his expectations. Not only that, take into account, not only is it new, but it was on the same night as two other more established balls. And they still were able to sell out and put on a great event, man. So Inspire You on Air, Amberly, Candace, who I finally met in person, is an extremely nice woman, man. I love the relationship between Amberly and her mother, Candace. You guys are doing big things with Inspire You. Wooisms, my man Sean, a.k.a. Puff and Buff. You know what I mean? So, or was it Fluff? Was it Fluff? I think it's Fluff and Buff.
Fluff and Buff.
Yeah, Fluff and Buff. You know what I'm saying? We just enjoyed the whole red carpet experience, man. Had a little too much Johnny Walker Blue. Wound up leaving just a tad earlier than I wanted to leave that night, but had a great time. I love seeing you guys. I'm glad Allison came through. It was just a great time. Appreciate. I didn't see as many people as I thought I would run into, but you know, like the people that Ferg mentioned, it was great seeing them. So I just had a wonderful time. We were happy to be a part of it, and Three Brothers is going to try our best to take part in more Inspire You on Air functions because we are proud to be a part of this family. And happy birthday to Inspire You. They just celebrated 2 years of their app and 2 more birthdays. I went to a birthday party last night for Leslie Mena, as well as my homeboy Wendell also had a birthday on February 25th. So happy birthday to you two. And I enjoyed kicking it with you, Leslie, and your husband. Great host, Eli. Appreciate everything, man. So thank you guys both. And again, shout out to Inspire You on Air. Make sure you download that app for free. And also subscribe to Three Brothers No Sense on any podcast platform.
Definitely. All I got, like I said, I was going to talk about Glow With Your Guy, Glam With Your Girl. Shout out to Deer Valley Elementary School, PTO. Great event, man. I don't know if other schools do it, because I was thinking about that the other night. I'm like, did Haley ever have these? I don't know if Haley had these. And if she did, Allison, I'll hold you accountable. You never told me about them. Yeah, but you know, I think if more schools get a chance to do those, it is a really, really fun event. It's a great way for kids to, you know, be able to just hang with their parents and spend some time together, just kind of hanging out, introducing their friends. Sophie took me around to all the friends that she wants to have play dates with and introduce the parents, because you know that's one of the things you got to do when you try to have a play date. And so we were exchanging, you know, like messages and getting phone numbers and stuff like that. So it's just a good event, man. So shout out to them. And also I want to talk about inclusion in Hogwarts Legacy. So man, those developers did a good job of showing people of color, and the characters in there is very inclusive. You have, it's not just a white Hogwarts in there. It is very, very diverse from the cast, very diverse from the what is that for Casey?
Keep going. I want you to see that this continue.
Oh yeah. So that, and like my character is so dope. I just want to say that if you want to check, you can follow me on Facebook. Check out one of my reels on there. My character is dope as I don't know what. He looks just like me in high school. So just that, man. It's one of those things that you'd be surprised how much inclusion matters. But being able to build a character that does feel and look like you to be able to play through a game is a big deal for gamers. And so shout out to them. They did a really, really good job. That development company did an awesome job of being able to do that and make you feel. And they got the hair right. That's the hardest part for us. But the hair is right on there. So go check that out if you're a gamer. If you're not even a serious gamer, but you like puzzle games, open world games, that type of stuff, it's still a really, really dope game, even if you're not like a hardcore serious gamer. So it's really fun.
Which leads me into my closing. So what I was trying to show you is I had my show topics, and one of the things I need to hit on is gameism. The creators of this game are gamist. They discriminate against people who have not bought the newest versions of the gaming systems. I pre-ordered the same game that Razi is talking about, not knowing that it does not come out on a PS4 until April 3rd. So I feel discriminated against. I'm pissed. I don't know who I need to write to, because every time I saw a commercial, it said available now. Guess what I did? I went to check my email to see if my game had been shipped. And it's like, nah, we're going to let you know when we ship it. And then I went back to the thing. It's like available April 3rd, 4th, something like that. So screw you, all you gamist out there. I feel some sort of way. And also really quick, I want to do a just tell people to love on your loved ones. You just never know what's going to happen. My family, as usual, Razi said, I have a huge family. It's so crazy because I always feel like there's something going on, to the point where when I say things, people are like, he gotta be lying. Like, it can't be something else. But I'm not going to get into the details, but I just, my family, the Carter side of the family, just asking for your prayers. We have a loved one who's had some very serious health issues in the last week, and essentially young man having life-changing, life-threatening surgery. Hopefully we continue to hear good news, and he's going to pull through, and that God's going to have him, and that we're going to take care of it, and he's going to have a story to tell. So just love on your loved ones. Make sure you stay in the loop. Take all health issues seriously. And with that being said, Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. 6 rules of podcast: listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.